There's a delay, but we're doing a sound check. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you can hear us. If not, we'll adjust.
It's morning still.
I don't know, it's 11. It's like if you can
Happy
do
Sunday. Happy Labor Day weekend. We are here this is right before our fall session start on Tuesday. So we just want to go over some things. You saw the agenda flying by a little earlier, and we're going to put that up in a minute.
Yeah, right now we're just confirming if anyone can put in the chat that they can hear us, or do we need to increase the volume or do something different?
Oh, yeah. Let me check. Oh, and our dog is saying hello too. Saying hi to all our player dog friends. So, if you are watching and can hear us, can you give a shout out in the chat to make sure that our volume is good?
Let's see.
James. Oh, James is a man-eating lobster. Nice.
All right, just in case they're not hearing,
Kai can hear us.
Oh, cool.
All right.
Thanks, Kai.
Yeah, if it sounds like echoey or weird, or if our dog's bothering you.
Yeah, we've got a couple confirms, all good. So, cool.
Okay.
All right. So it's 11. Why don't we go to the agenda slide? We'll get started.
Okay. There we are. Hello, welcome. Today is Sunday, and I'll move on.
If you don't know what day it is, you might need more time. Okay, so again, there's a delay here but from us talking and seeing the chat, so keep that in mind, about 7 seconds. We're going to go over meeting guidelines. We do this every meeting, do it very quickly. We're going to cover Facebook groups, just to kind of what should be in the particular pages and groups. Go over the Board of Governors updates, do a refresher on a lot of different things since we've taken over San Diego APA, and just some reminders and refreshers, and then upcoming events, and we'll open up for Q&A. All right, let's do it.
I gotta find my controls.
Okay, this one's pretty simple. It's really just saying be respectful. If you're not, you can be taken out of the meeting or banned from future meetings. We're also not here to discuss process that you can do. We strongly recommend you do it through the BOG, and I'll cover that a few times today. You're welcome to reach out to us directly, but the reason you go to the BOG is we do have good discussions, and it helps get your information into them, whether you contact one BOG or all of them. There's actually been a few that have. We'll go over that as well. But really, it's not here to discuss process. We'll answer questions of why we're doing something and so on, but it's not here to debate how it should be done. That's for other times and situations. Anyway. Cool. All right. Face group posts. So we kind of just want to reset everybody and remind people team building should be solely for the team building, and it's team building for SDAPA. This is obviously the standard teams, the ladies, masters, doubles. It can also be used for Southwest Challenge tournaments such as Triple Play and Team Captain. So anything where you're trying to organize a team within the San Diego APA tournaments or Southwest, I say or Southwest because teams do grab members from different areas or past players who are playing in another area. They still have to be active in another area but played here prior. Anyway, that's the purpose of the team building, and mostly what people use it for, but we just want to highlight. The players group is where we have a little bit of a gray area we want to clarify. So it's really there for San Diego APA League discussions and topics in this area. We do see people put team building in the players group. We'll tend to approve it because we understand you're trying to build teams, but when we have more time, we will reply to you and ask you to put it in the team building instead. That might be a reason you see it decline, so pay attention to the message we send back. Host locations can post tournaments, but they must be active host locations. We do see some trying to post tournaments. We decline them if they currently don't have teams out of their locations. Another use can be to sell pool-related items, not other related items. Selling your furniture, tickets, etc. are not something they use for this, but pool-related items. But you must be an active member in SDAPA. Also, we may decline you when you are selling a pool item or meet the requirements because your tag name in Facebook doesn't match our database and we don't know who you are necessarily. So if you want to guarantee an approval, reach out to our email or our phone number and text us. Or if we decline you and you say, hey, I am in the league, this is my, how I'm listed, we'll look at it, post it, and approve it. So just keep that in mind. We're trying to protect people from spam and risk to, things, bad links, etc.
Yeah, and the Facebook groups, that they're separate from our Facebook business page where we have, our general advertising and stuff like that. But the Facebook groups are set up so that the players can collaborate with each other, and it's really our only forum for that type of communication. And you'll see a lot of other groups out there. I mean, I see them out there, if you're looking for other tournaments in the San Diego County area, there's a lot of other great Facebook groups out there for that I'm a member of as well. So, it's great for that stuff, but, we just don't want to muddle up the different groups and the reasons that people use them, and we want to make them more whatever, specific to
Cluttered. We don't want them cluttered.
But yeah, we just want to make them more specific to what their purpose is.
Right. So that's the reason you may see decline. And if you have you want to have a discussion on it, feel free to reach out. And if you can convince us it makes sense in some way, we'll certainly consider posting it. Liza created a Help Each Other some time back. You'll see it's pinned to the top now in that page. It's really the people that play in the league can post something they do as a business or a service. And this way, within the league, hopefully we can help each other. Someone does charcuterie, someone else, details cars, someone...
Oh, did you say that right?
I said it right. Isn't that crazy?
Did you look up how to pronounce it?
No, I was scared to even say it.
I know.
I should have butchered it. Yeah, when you hear me slur my words or speak, not only did I get hit in the head in basketball many years ago, but I've also had English problems my whole life. So anyway, that's why I get made fun of. So anyway, take a look at that. It's really cool. Post on there. And not just a post on there. Players look on there. If you're looking for a service, go check that really quick and see if somehow you can keep the love within the SDAPA community. Players chats. This one's complicated. I know recently we had some really bad posts on there. To make chat by approval basis would be a nightmare because there's so much more stuff going on in a chat to limit to our approval that we might not see it for a day, and now it doesn't flow within the chat. So we really can't do it. We have players tagging it. We appreciate that. Keep doing that. We'll try to see it as quickly as we can. If you want to text us and say, hey, you're not paying attention to this thing, can you please remove it? We'll jump on and remove it. Do the best we can, but there's not another way to do this without making it complicated in the other way. So be patient. Let us know. We'll get rid of it as quickly as we can. The last one is the singles qualifier page, solely used exactly for that, to promote and update status around singles qualifiers. Speaking of which.
Yes. So Kai will be running a Labor Day singles qualifier. So I wish we had the links on here to the different groups. I'll switch over to that later. But actually, maybe I'll try to do that now. Ooh.
I think we should stay.
Okay. Oh yeah, because I'm in
people are
Facebook.
familiar
Never
with it.
mind. Yes. So we have different Facebook groups. One of them is called, and this is the only one that starts with SDAPA. All the other ones start with San Diego APA. And so if you type that in, you'll see all the different groups. But the singles qualifier one is run by our tournament directors, and they'll post some events and stuff up there. So that one is SDAPA singles qualifiers and info. And so if you want to run an event, or if you're looking for an event to play in for the singles, then you should go to that group.
Yeah, and feel free to read if you can't find it or you're having issues for any of the groups ever, but you're on Facebook. That's the key part. If you're not on Facebook, then that's the first thing you got to do. Contact us, and we'll be happy. There you see, told you. Be happy to send you a link.
So I just wanted to answer Aaron's question about the singles qualifiers. So the October regional is coming up. The fall regional, October 7th and 8th, and those who are qualified, so he's looking for the list, that is on our Facebook, our website. So if you look at our website under
Local
switch over to that.
and then singles. Local events, then singles.
Yeah, let's go over there. I'm gonna just go to San Diego. Oops, San Diego. So this is our. Oh, I don't even. This is our website.
Yeah, you should be familiar with the website, but if not, contact
And
us.
then you would just go, I should do this on the other screen, but I don't know why I'm doing it this way. Okay, local and regional events. And then you'll see local singles program. And then you have to go, scroll down to the bottom there. And you'll see a link to all of the qualified players right there. So we do have, I believe, 75 to 76 qualified players from San Diego for each of the formats. Everybody who's qualified is going to be getting an email from the national office, so keep a lookout for that. It's going to come in the next week. So check your email in the next week. If you don't receive one, then we can send you the information. It's going to be, it's going to have registration times, when the Pockets venue will be opening. It is going to be at Pockets. And it'll have, how many people are going to qualify, how many boards for each of the tiers, and it will have all the rosters too. So a list of all of the players that will be playing.
Yeah, and once we've got that, we will post a link to it in the events tab of member services as well, which we'll touch on later, that area. Okay?
You're welcome, Erin.
All right, next slide.
Yep.
All right, so we had a couple BOG meetings since the last meeting. It was because we were having a BOG meeting just after the last players meeting, and we had one just before this meeting. So, and we're meeting every 3 months versus every 6. That's another reason there was 2. So we want to just go over some of those topics that came up in both those meetings. One of the things was how to deal with long matches and slow players. We get this asked all the time. Our first ask, because we've had people contact us, and I always ask them, have you had captain to captain or even player to player conversation first? Some say yes, some say no. If you haven't, please do that first. Do it during the match. And those teams that are approached about your player being slow, be respectful. Don't get angry about the request. A lot of what APA is, if you look at the manual, is to respect the time so that you're not there late in the evening. And you probably know who your slow players are. However, if that's not successful, please contact us with the details of the team and the conversation you had with captain to captain, player to player, so that we have some information. Again, email is the way we need this, not text or phone, and we will contact that team and ask them to move along. Buy points, pretty simple. It was just an open discussion of whether we should do something different with buy points, and the BOG agreed to no change, so they stay as is. Perfect Session MVP did change, and you should have seen the announcement in member services early in summer, as well as when you look at MVP, it has a little blurb about it. Plus, it was on Message Center. And one of the BOG discussions that came up from a member was to consider changing the requirements. We can't do percentage because the software does not support percentage. And it's something that you're welcome to write the APA about and give them your feedback. It's another topic we have in here about numbers and that, so we'll shelve that for that one. But the current requirement is 8, starting this last summer. We also discussed it again in the second meeting, since it was just towards the end of summer, and everyone agreed it will stay at 8 for the time being. So if you want to get in your BOG's ear, please do so about any topics that we discussed today. Again, you can contact one or all. They're on the website under the Board of Governors, and all their emails are there. Okay, the other thing we discussed and came up even in the summer that we've decided to go in a different direction on the answer. So, I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead a tiny bit. So pre-play and makeup, when there's 2 or less matches being requested by the team not ready to play that match, they must indicate who they're going to play in that pre-play match or makeup match. And the team they're playing does not have to indicate who they're playing. The purpose of this is that a whole team doesn't have to bring their entire roster when they were ready to play on the night of the scheduled match. So the team that is making the request to either play early or do a match later, and they're only requesting this for 1 or 2 matches, the other team can ask you who you're going to play, and that's who you need to play. If you change your player when you meet up for the pre-play or the makeup, the team that was ready to play has the right to take a forfeit. Again, the spirit of all these rules is to make sure we play on the table. However, the advantage should go as much as possible to the team that is ready to play, and that's what these rules are there for.
Ready with all their 5 players.
Correct. All right.
Okay.
Okay, this is the one I was jumping the gun to. So we had a situation, and you can see I'm just going to jump down to the example, which is the third bullet, sub bullet 7643.
I might have to get my readers on for
so
this
sorry
one.
about this, but we post the presentation after, and so we, people want to read it before they jump into the video sometimes. So this is why we put a little more detail. That totals 20. You can see the 3 already played, and they only have 1 3 on the roster. So technically, they can play the 3 again and not break the 23 rule because they have a 2 on their roster. The software does look for this and realizes that those first 4 could play if the whole team was there. The question over the summer was, can a team post the 3 again given they don't have a second 3? And in the summer, we said no. We revisited this with the BOG and realized the answer is yes, they can. And the reason we've changed this position is the team ready to play can decide not to play that 3 in the double post and just do a makeup against the 2. So the team ready to play still has the option to play the 2 by doing the makeup instead of the double post. But they also have the option of the double post and making the night over with. And this is why we allow it. So the real key thing with the double post is the first 4 players must be players you can post if your entire roster was present that night. Okay. This is what I mentioned earlier. We have had 2 players reach out to the BOG for 2 different topics. I'm highlighting this one to tell you about the topics, but mostly to tell you the BOG does listen. They do bring it into the BOG discussions, and we strongly recommend that you reach out to your BOG for any topics to help drive that discussion or understanding. So the first one just had to do with a member who felt that in the 12-team division, if you don't know, there's actually 2 playoff brackets. So what that individual felt was after the first round of the playoff brackets, today they stay separate. So it's 2, 4, 6 in a wild, 3, 5, 7 in a wild card. Those are 2 different brackets. They felt that it should be reseeded after the first round is done. This doesn't make any more work for us, and it's not a problem in the system. However, we really haven't anybody complain about this before. This individual was their first time going into this structure, so maybe they just need to see how it plays out, because there's always 2 sides of any rule, right? There's always a scenario where it helps you and some scenario it doesn't. So anyway, this came up for discussion, and we'll revisit at the end of the year because this would have to be a bylaw change. So getting your BOG's ear if this is something that interests you, and ideally you have played in or play in a 12 division team or more. 12 team division, sorry.
Yeah.
The other one was tiebreaker. If you guys know this, if there's 3 teams tied in the tiebreaker, the OTM has a spell out for if 2 teams are tied, if three or more are tied, it's all in the OTM. That's the process we use today. Someone asked that we review potentially a bylaw option. We're not sure if the APA will allow this. It's something we'll discuss at some point, but what the BOG recommended on this is that we come up with a process first and flush it out to see if it's even feasible or we get behind it before going to the APA to ask them, which makes sense. So we're gonna do that. We couldn't change this as well this year. It would have to be going into summer next year. There are challenges though. We've started to look at this. It creates different problems. So anyway, we are looking into it still. It's still on the topic, and I just want to highlight the BOG is listening. Okay. The other topic on BOG is we're going to open 1 BOG spot this fall. As you remember, we've added a handful of BOGs. I think it was last year, if I remember correctly, at the end of last year. And so we had 1 move and 1 step down. We would like to fill a spot. You can nominate yourself or nominate someone else. If you nominate someone else, please make sure they want to be nominated, because there's a process. We don't want to get to them and then find out they don't want to do it. We will only be approving 1 this time. Last time we kind of left it open-ended to whatever number. but now we're going to only approve one. So you may be a great candidate, but there's someone for whatever reason. It could be there in an area we want to get representation in.
Ideally, we are looking for people that will cover and represent the entire county. So if we feel like we're lacking, representation in a certain area, that could be the reason why, even though you're a good candidate.
Well, let's even say the opposite could be true. We don't get candidates in the areas where we'd like representation, but we get candidates in areas that are very heavily represented, and we get one that's maybe less represented. That might be why the decision goes in their favor. So again, feel free to nominate yourself or nominate someone else. The BOG can also decide no one fits the requirements, but you must be in good standings. Okay, you're checking questions. Last thing is just to let you know, early December, we haven't set an exact date yet, will be the next BOG meeting. So again, get in your BOG's ear. Okay. All right, I call this refresher. I had this one item that's not a refresher, it's new, but I didn't want to create a whole slide for it. So you no longer need to inform us when you're doing...
You might need your readers again for this one.
Yeah. You no longer need to be informed about teams. I don't need to be informed anymore about teams doing makeups or when they're done. So we stopped being worried about being informed about makeups happening because we would know if we had neither score sheet or we got 4 matches scored or 3 matches scored, we knew there was a makeup to be had because the teams didn't select forfeits on those particular matches. So that part is taken care of itself just by the data presented to us. But the makeup matches, we need to know when you were done. The APA has resolved this, and now we can see when makeup matches are completed. We pull them on a certain frequency, so just because you did it on a Monday doesn't mean we're going to always pull it on a Tuesday, even though it's there. But we can see it now ourselves. So you no longer have to tell us when you're doing a makeup. You also don't have to tell us when you're done. The exceptions are obviously going to be the Saturday leagues because they're not in Scorekeeper as of today, and they're all on paper. That's doubles and masters. So.
And just and I don't know if this is in.
It is, but you can still bring it up. Yeah.
But no, about the partials, about the partial matches that people are doing. So and it's great that you want to get that stuff done. But if if you played 3 of your 5 matches for a particular night, those are going to be entered the next day, which means you also and that's fine. You don't have to tell us that you're going to do a makeup for the other 2 matches. But you also need to pay for those matches because you're not going to be able to do it on the app anymore. So you can only pay for matches on the app if no score has been entered. So once that one score is entered, now you're going to have to find another way to pay if you didn't get a chance to hit that pay button on the app.
Yeah, and to go further, I mean, there's people out there that always pay through Zelle or Venmo, so they're going to say we're not worried about the app. The bylaw that's been in place before us and is still there and we continue it is you should pay your dues tied to the scheduled night of play, not due to a pre-play or a makeup match. So even if you pay Venmo or you do none of your matches, so therefore it's still showing, you still need to pay your league dues. It's because they can be done at any random time, it's hard to manage the accounting side as well as the potential impact of not paying your dues on time any other way. So it is mentioned later, but that's just to highlight. It's not just because you can't pay on the app, because you might be like, well, I pay Venmo or I didn't do any of my matches. All 5 are going to be made up. You need to consider just paying it that night. That's the simplest path. Okay, this is a big one. I've actually had a few phone calls on this, so I wanted to highlight it again. To maintain your eligibility for teams that win the Summer Blast for that city spot, you must continue on with 4 more players from the Summer Blast. So let's say Team A has 8 players, 3 move, that gives them 5. They drop 2, they're down to 3, but they won the Blast. They're no longer eligible because the 4 members of that Blast team, and in this case it's Summer Blast, need to continue on in fall and spring to maintain your eligibility. So that's extremely critical, and want to make sure you understand. You can move nights, but you can't move formats, and you can't come in after you drop. So if you drop, and this is just, we're already started with fall coming this week, but just to go a step further, if you dropped your team, win the Blast, typically we're not going to let you in the Blast, but maybe there's some way you haven't dropped yet. So just make sure you keep the 4 retained and stay in the format, or you will not keep your city's eligibility. And your team is your spring roster. That's the other question we get asked. You don't get to come back and reform and be a team again. You have to be the continuous team that stays qualified and stays eligible, and then whoever you end in the spring session with, as long as you kept that originality for members, will be your cities and Vegas roster.
And all that stuff, like all those eligibility requirements are outlined.
OTM bylaws website.
Yeah, and so I just want to switch over to this for a second because I want to try this little thing that I'm doing here. Okay, this is our website. And so I just want to highlight here, like, so this is where that singles thing was that Aaron was asking about. But I'm going to go to, let's say, city championships. So I'm just going to go in here for a second. And this is where it outlines that same stuff that we were just talking about, because there's always a team every year that just forgets or just doesn't know what the eligibility requirements are to play in cities. And so, we just want to make sure that you guys don't forget these things and make sure that you have the best chance to advance your team to Vegas.
Yeah, and we put out member services post about it. We put it in the message center of a couple times during the session. Can you go to rules and bylaws? As we mentioned, in here there's the OTM on the right, official team manual, and the PDF. On the bottom there's the bylaws.
Here's our bylaws.
OTM covers everything we're talking about except for the 6 matches in Blast, which is in the local bylaws. Tri-Cups, which we call Blast, can be determine the number of matches by the local area as long as it meets the 4 or more. In this case, it's 6 here. So just be aware, your OTM, your website, and the bylaws. When you're in doubt, reach out to us. We're happy to give you the breakdown again so you know your eligibility. But talk to us before it's too late.
Okay. Back to our regularly scheduled program.
Leads into perfectly. Turn on notifications and member services. We have a lot of people going, I don't know about this, or I didn't know about that, and they've gotten burnt, whether they miss an event, or they miss a rule, or they miss some good information. So turn it on. If you don't like notifications, just make sure you're looking, and this should be the entire team. It shouldn't just be a captain's statement or a couple people. Everybody should be watching, because there's individual tournaments we run and things we put out there that are critical to everybody. Registering for tournaments. This is
wait.
Sure.
Wait. Before we do that, I'm going to switch over to here because, look, I just logged in. And this is, so you don't have to have the app on your phone. You can do it through here. See this league.poolplayers.com. And /San Diego will take you to our member services. If you're a member, you'll be able to see a lot of these different things. But this is what we're talking about here for the notifications. So make sure you check this notify me so that anytime we post news or like, what are we looking at here? News, events, your stats. Oh, no, this is what I was talking about. See this little notification thing? This tells you when your score sheets and stats have been updated and stuff like that. So yeah, this is all of our news blast, but this is really going to be our main form of announcing different things to the league.
Right, correct. And if you don't, I don't turn notifications on any of my apps, but I check them all. So you got to be good at one or the other.
Just put that.
So, all right, registering. Oh,
oops, sorry.
It's okay.
Move that out of the way.
Just testing my ability to adapt. Registering for tournaments. So, everything we do is the Google Forms, as you guys know, and it just keeps things consolidated. But there's things we want to just reiterate. It's very important. You've got to fill out the form. So you send us money, but you don't fill out the form, you don't have a spot yet. You fill out the form, but don't send your deposit, you do not have a spot yet. If you can see the bold there. This is extremely important. And what's kind of funny, if you go back in the form, and maybe those who aren't the ones signing up should go into the form just to play with it. It's mentioned multiple times, including you having to check and say yes that you understand these 2 things to get a guaranteed spot. So if you failure to do it, it's sort of on you, and we really don't want to tell you you're out because we gave it to a team that met the requirements, or the individual if it's an individual tournament. So please make sure you do both. It's critical. If you want to check with us, if we've gotten the form filled out of the deposit, feel free to do so. It's always best to do stuff in email because sometimes, like Liza handles that. And if she's not around or doing something, I filter it into her folder and she gets to it at night. If it's a text doesn't work as well. which I'm going to go into a little bit later. But it's still, you can contact us anyway. We're just telling you the best success
Yeah,
is that way.
and just so you know, I know people are wondering about the Southwest Challenge entries. So the Southwest Challenge 9 ball that's coming up in October, we have filled all 57 slots.
I have that listed
So
too.
I will, what?
I have that listed at the end too as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No, you should cover it. I'm just
No,
saying.
yeah, and for this form, there is a thing that says, I understand that I'm not necessarily registered until you get the deposit in, and so we do have people on a waiting list now. We're trying to get more spots, but right now we do have people that are on a waiting list, and I did send out an email to those team contacts about getting your deposits in because you are now on a waiting list if you did not turn in your deposit yet.
Yeah, we have timestamps so we can look at it, and even if you were one of the first to fill out the form or send a deposit, if you didn't do the second, sorry, you didn't meet the requirements. We've been preaching this a couple players meetings. It's right in the form when you fill it out, and it has to be done for fairness, and that's the reason it's there. So always reach out and confirm with us if you're not sure. Nothing fills up any quicker than 7 to 8 days, and this took a couple weeks. So you have a little bit of time, but I tell you to be careful with that so you don't lose your spot. Also, all the information's in the flyer and the form. We get a lot of phone calls about questions that are already answered there. It's not that we're against answering it. The problem is, probably the biggest one is, what are the room costs for Southwest Challenge? I don't have it memorized. I'm going to go to the same place you would, and it's probably better you go there so we don't quote the wrong numbers and information. It's best to use the flyer and the forms. You can go back into the form. You'll get an email. For anything that you fill out, the person that registered will get a link. You can go back in and edit your team. We get emails asking us to edit things about that form. We're going to tell you no unless we've closed the form out, because we had 1 year an issue where information was kind of in an email versus the form, and it was missed. Another one that was almost missed. So this is why we're so strict about this. Not that we don't mind taking the phone call or stuff. We don't want to screw up and leave you high and dry because you didn't follow the process and we didn't enforce you to follow the process. So we need you to go back into that link and make your edits so that we know it's the information you want.
I don't mind getting the Facebook messages, but they got to go through a certain thing. If you want a roster change or something, we're not always in front of our computers to make that change for you. So that's why the email is the best route, because that's when we can.
Filing. We are looking
get
into
things
systems, and maybe someday that'll change, but currently it's to protect yourselves. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is another one we get asked, not too often, but enough I figure to throw it on here. All awards can be picked up at the blast. You can also have someone to pick it up for you, except for your payouts. That has to be the captain, or the captain has to tell us. But anybody can pick up your awards for you, so even if you can't make it, someone going, ask them. If you can't make it to a blast, you have no one that can pick it up, we are more than willing to bring it to the next event or a future event. However, you must email, and email only in this case, what specifically you're looking for and what event you're going to go to. And we ask 2 days in advance. This is a pretty strict one because we're getting prepped for these events, doing a lot of things and moving around. You give us something the 11th hour, we'll still try, but now we're not going to be able to guarantee it. So if you do follow this process and you're going to, let's say, go to the juniors event, or you're going to go to the turkey shoot or something that we're going to have after the blast, and you say, bring my MVP, just send an email and be specific, please, like, the 2020 MVP or the something, because we'll try to hunt it down, but it's best if we know what you're looking for.
Yeah, and I keep a list of awards not distributed that I want to kind of, I want to put it out there, but it's a little difficult to maintain. So all of the award winners are announced out there. So if you can just find yourself on the list and know that you didn't pick up your award yet, then that's where you can find that. Eventually, I want to do, how you can go on the government and type in your name and see if they owe you money. I want to do something like that.
Yeah. Okay, and then the next is blast payouts. Liza sent something out to all captains as a reminder whether you won this division or playoffs, but we're saying it again here. We said it two players meetings ago. The last players meeting, we're going to keep repeating it. As you guys know, we now are trying to do electronic. There are limitations on Venmo and Zelle, so we can only do so much in a week, and we're going to do it in order. And an order is similar to our previous statement, correct information. We had a few people just say, Venmo me. Yes, we may have your Venmo, but you can imagine how many teams we're trying to pay out, and we need the information in the one email because it just makes processing easier. So you'll go back in line. Basically, you have to get out of line at like the DMV and go back in the line when you give us the information that was requested. So just look at, when an email goes out, look at what we're asking for, and please answer. Even if you think we know the answer, it's just helpful and there's a reason we're doing it. If you didn't get the email, didn't notice the email, and you won the division or playoffs in the summer, then please just send us your Venmo handle or Zelle handle. You have to be the captain. We will not, it doesn't matter if you're the co-captain, acting captain, whatever you think you might be, it has to be the captain because we need a trail if there's ever an issue. And so it's important that, but we can do it. And again, it may take us a week or 2 or 3 because we're paying out the whole league and there are limitations on both these. So this one I mentioned earlier, this is just something I want to keep reiterating.
Wait, let me go back to that for a second
Yeah.
too. One of the things too that we will offer is a team credit for the next
Oh, right.
session,
And
right?
people do this already, you're right. But if somebody doesn't realize that and you say, you know what, I don't want my payout, just put it on my team. Or you might say, okay, I want to take half of it on the team and the other half payout, whatever.
Right,
Just let
and
us
that's
know.
really going to depend, I mean, the money's yours. It's, you may have a player that's leaving, so you want to make sure you give them their portion of what you won. And so,
But
but we
just
can work
another
with you on
option
that.
to be aware of.
Yeah.
This one's just a lot of people ping us about something they don't like about the way something operates. Anything that's in the OTM and not, make sure you check our bylaw if we have a change to it. But if it's in the OTM, we don't have a bylaw for it. You can welcome to tell us, but it's so much better to tell the APA. They do listen, but you got to remember it's just like us. If something's a local decision we can make, we're gonna listen to the numbers because we could change something because of 12 people said it. We turn it over and then 100 people say I hate the new rule, right? So there's always a challenge when you start to modify things and you don't understand the numbers. The APA is the same way. They got so many resources and so many things they want to do with those resources. But if we're the only ones telling them about the problem you brought to our attention, they don't know if that's one person. No matter what we tell them, we can tell them 100 people came to us. They're going to be like, well, they need to come to us. So it's real easy. You go to their main website, hit contact, and it's really easy from there. I mean, it's one of the simplest things to provide that feedback, and they do read it. Working around schedule conflicts, we've had different people that have had personal conflicts as well as the scheduling over some holidays or outside of holidays time frame. We listed in the bylaws all the days that we will schedule off, so you can tell during any session what will be scheduled off for sure, and it's very clear in the bylaws. If you don't see it in the bylaws, then chances are we will be scheduling it. And then there's also people that just have their own personal conflicts. So remember, there's pre-play. There's a lot of people using this now, but a lot of people I don't think are aware. And share this information with your different teammates, maybe not on today or whatever. Just ask us that you want a pre-play match week 14 in week 3. We're happy to post it. The information we need is simply what's the team number or name, what week you want to pre-play, and when you're going to play your first match. We asked the last one so we can get the skill levels as close to accurate by the time we post it. If you're not going to play it for 2 weeks, I don't want to post it then. So double posting is something there too, and makeups are all ways to work around those dynamics. Go ahead. Just reminders, you can edit your own roster and scorekeeper. Things you can't do is change captain, co-captain, or drop them. You can't drop singles qualified players. You also won't be able to make changes after week 4 in any session now. It used to just be spring. It is to protect you for many reasons. It's not just
From losing your
qualification.
eligibility.
Well, and it creates problems like if you make a change at the end of, if they left it as they did, you can make a change at the end of summer, not realizing you're impacting your fall roster and your blast roster, and causing other problems that we have to go unwind. And we're happy to do it. It could be in Scorekeeper. We prefer email. Text is okay. We're happy to make the change anytime. We're just letting you know the ability to do it is there, but there is some limits. You also won't be able to pull a player from another area that has to go through us, or pull a player off a team that has to go through us. We're entering partial matches. We've already said that. 10 a.m. the next day, just a friendly reminder. That's when score sheets, which are automatically in for Scorekeeper matches, and dues by 10 a.m. the next day. Past due. If you send a payment after 10 a.m. the next day, your team may show the past due. So we have a lot of people going, hey, I paid this money. Well, when did you pay it? 2 days, a day after it was due. Well, that may be why it's not showing. Yes, we have your money, so technically your balance is 0, but because you paid it past the time, that's when we missed it. So I'll pause for a second. So Kai asked when the blast schedules come out. So on the website, we'll have Liza bring up the website. It's a great question, Kai.
Sorry, I'm playing with this. Look. Whoa. Can you guys see my big old cursor now? I can point at things. Okay.
You see my look? Does everybody see the look I'm giving?
Save.
Okay. Can you bring up our website, please?
Ooh, website, yes.
It's a great question, Kai. And instead of just answering, I'm going to show where people can see, and we'll get better about doing this. I just put this up there 2 days ago, and I actually updated it.
Where are we going?
Go to local and regional events.
Local and regional. Look
really
at my cursor.
The blast.
It's gigantic. The blast. Look at I'm pointing at the blast.
Yeah, if only we could go there. Okay, go down just a little bit. Right there. Go down a little bit more because we can get Nut and Ball in there too. Okay, so maybe move the marker so people can read.
This gigantic pointer?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It has been moved.
I have to move our players' meetings to the evening so I can drink. So you can see here, we're going to post the 8-ball and 9-ball bracket. I'm going to take control because I want specifically to show both. Thank you.
Okay.
So the 8-ball bracket was posted by 9/8. I initially had it so that it was the following week, but we're going to pull that into the end of this coming week.
9/8. Right there. I'm pointing at. Can you see it?
And rosters are always going to be posted the week of. There's a lot more dynamics to do that, so that won't be pulled in for many other reasons. But the brackets will be up by Friday, basically. I just want to show you where you can find this, and then we'll always do a blast post once we've got the brackets out. We'll create a member services blast news post and links to that, and then follow that up with rosters. So the end of this week, brackets will be up.
Okay, so again, that's here. Local and regional events, the blast.
Yep, I'm sure Ray's amused with the giant.
It's not. It doesn't look as giant on their screen.
Oh my gosh! You see what I see.
I know.
It's bigger than
huge.
Liza, and that's not saying much, but okay. So, anyways, I'll go on from there. You can also see your past due. It'll be red next to your roster and scorekeeper. Now, if you open up the match, then you will, if you're seeing your opponent's roster, go down and see it. And the whole team should be looking for this. This is how you can avoid, losing your bonus points. Not seeing the ability to pay in the app does not necessarily mean you paid. Under your initials, in member services, you'll see payment history. Always confirm there that you've paid. I always strongly recommend people check the next day because maybe late at night they thought they pushed the pay button, they didn't. And then there's always other ways to pay. You can use it because the app doesn't show it or because you prefer to just use it all the time. Zelle, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. Liza posted 2 things in member services. One is credit, one is past due, but they both have the handles for these different apps. That you can
let's
find.
look at that real quick. I'm just going to switch over back to this is our website, but I'm going to switch to the app. And here is the different news blasts. So you can
right
look
there, got
at
credit and past due.
See
back
this
to back.
got credit thing right here? This is how, these are some ways that you can pay. If you want to pay a different amount than the $50 team fee amount. I'm going to add to here, I also created some links where if you wanted to pay by credit card, you'll be able to pay a $40 fee, a $30 fee, and what was the other one? $25 for doubles. So you'll have different options of paying that, and you can pay multiple ones too. Like if you wanted to pay for 2 weeks of playoffs, you can say, okay, I want to pay 2 $40 fees, and then it'll let you do that with your credit card.
Go back one.
Back one.
Go to past due.
Where's
I just
that?
want to bring it up to the right.
Oh, right here.
Don't
Okay.
in here because we've had people for whatever reason can't find the handle. The QR codes are in the past due.
Yeah.
So-
So this. Can I bring that up? How does that come up? Oh, there. Whoa. Whoa. Doesn't stay up though.
Okay, well, that's all right.
Anyway, it's
Okay.
there.
We can go back to the presentation. Just want to
Okay.
highlight there's a second place for QR codes. It may not fit your category. You're really trying to drive me crazy with your crazy. You guys have no clue how big this marker is. I looked on the screen. You don't get to see. It's blocking everything. I can't see anything.
Wow.
That thing she's moving. Okay. And then next is even okay, and we brought this up earlier. Even if you're going to do a makeup match, you should be paying the dues for the scheduled date. All right, let's go on.
Yes. So Laura's talking about how the playoff fees are only $40, but the app charges $50. That is correct. It's just it actually is $50, but we are subsidizing that amount, and so that's why it's still going to save $50. That's what the APA is expecting to get, and so we subsidize that and reduce the fee for you guys to pay. So if you guys, that's where you can use, and I'm going to post the links to pay for a $40 fee instead with your credit card if you wanted to do that.
Yeah, but let me add that in addition, she's explained the background for another reason that eventually we'll be bringing up. We can even bring it up today, but the app value can't be changed regardless of why it's 40 versus 50. You have to have one fee. It's a limitation of the APA nationwide software, so that's the reason it'll always show as 50. We put in the message center that it's a $40 fee every playoff match, and then we put a link to this page where you can choose different ways to pay. However, the APA is nationwide changing that rule for next year. They won't allow league areas to do what we're doing because other league areas do it as well. We're going to discuss it with the BOG, see if there's a way to get creative that the APA will allow, but just kind of an early heads up since she brought up the subsidizing situation. So
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, let's go to the next slide.
Next slide.
Okay, this is really make sure your information is correct. We say captains for sure. You are responsible. If we're trying to contact you through your email and you don't see it, that's on you guys, not us. There's times we'll text you or call you as well, but we can't guarantee it depending on how many people we're trying to contact or what we're doing. So please pay attention to your email. Players, you should do the same. Sometimes we email co-captains or entire teams. And again, if your information is wrong, we can correct it. We're not going to look at you sending us an email, realize it's a different address. If you need us to change it, we're happy to do it. Send it to us.
And we don't I have my Yahoo account that's got all the junk mail that goes through it and stuff, and so I get it that you guys can't always see the email and stuff. But we don't do a lot of the spamming and stuff and blasting all these emails and stuff like that. Like usually when we're sending an email, it's probably important, so you should probably read it, especially for the captains. We don't do a lot of that just fluff and selling stuff and
Right. So maybe even set up a folder with a rule that can push it into that folder so you can highlight it when it's there. Just a thought. But it's important that you see it and your teammates too. All players, whether you're a captain or not, should be correct because you may miss something important.
Yeah, and coming from us too, I know the APA does do a lot of the marketing and the selling and stuff, and so when you go into the app and you opt out through there, it looks like it's just marketing materials and stuff, but it's also opting out of communications from us. And so that's where, for captains, we want to make sure that you're not opted out of that because we need to be able to communicate with you through email.
Yeah, and it's only partially opting out with us. So if we're contacting you directly, we're going to grab your email and send it to you and ignore the opt-out. However, if we're doing a division...
A bulk, if we do a bulk, your email's not going to be included in that.
Or even as small as a division poll. We're not going to do it because we grab by the division and it doesn't highlight who is missed.
So here's the app. So just right in here, I'm going to go to edit profile. Well, you guys can see my personal information. Let's close that. Anyway.
Well, anyway, it's in there.
The opt stuff.
You need to know whatever. We're happy to change it for you in the system. Unfortunately, as it stands today, and we've had people reach out about this, this is something that you ping the APA today. If you opt in, you're still going to get the APA marketing emails. We've heard from people. It varies from once a month to many in a month. We've given the feedback to them. You should as well. But just letting you know, if you don't get part of that division poll, that'll be the one thing you miss out on. If we have to directly contact you, we'll make sure we put your email in there. Okay, we only talk to players about their skill level, period. I have one tiny exception to this rule, which is if a team starts a player higher and after a while they realize they misjudged that player and they're not that good, then that player or the captain can contact us to say, hey, would you consider lowering them? Because they were trying to be honest. It's the one exception. Anything else, I don't care if your player's busy. I don't care if you're like, but it doesn't make sense. We're just not going to answer you. You must have the player contact us. Call us, email us, text us. We're happy to share with them their information. If they want to share it back with you, that's fine. But we are going to only talk to the player about that. We definitely have the going up to skill levels, with the exception of yearly divisions and stuff like that. There's got to be, in a whole year in doubles, someone could go up a couple skill levels, and there's just not, it's not the same comparison when you have 3 sessions. So, but this is new and returning. I think some people forget a player comes back after being gone for 3 sessions, 4 sessions. They left as a 3. They're still playing pool for whatever reason. They're better. They don't. You can't just say that's what the APA has it as. No, it doesn't matter when it is. If you know you've done something to get significantly better, you need to tell us, or you are at risk of being penalized. So please reach out. We'll talk you through the situation the best we can to help you make the best decision. But you guys are closest to the player, so let's make sure they're playing correctly. And there's a lot of teams doing this, so I applaud everybody for calling and raising their players and making sure they're fair the best as possible. There's a few who need to get better about it. So this came up, and I just wanted to highlight it. I did see one additional scenario that I need to look into, but after playoffs, you're not going to see updates to the session standings, because the session standings don't even update after round 1, for obvious reasons. They are just for regular session. We will be putting the qualified tag and team, and we'll put the brackets out. That'll tell you who won. You should also know if you won. You should also know if you lost. So if you're really looking for information on other teams, that's nice, but it may not be there. We did have something.
So qualified tag, what does that mean? Qualified
they'll see a
for
signature and member services next to their team.
for the blast?
I believe for the blast. I'm checking that. But that'll be, when you see the brackets, it means the system should match.
I know it shows for cities. Like if you if you win the blast and then you become qualified for cities,
Right.
that's like a world. It'll say world qualifier, qualified for world qualifier. That's the city championship.
Yeah, so I'll take that action. I couldn't do it prior to this meeting because we had to port over the session, and now we're going to go back and tag the teams. You'll know by being on the bracket, so if you see a member services post in a bracket, you don't see your team and you believe you won division or playoffs, contact us immediately. Obviously, if you're 4 teams or less, winning division is not a thing to make the blast. You have to win the playoffs, but anything that has 6 or more teams, that you should be there if you won, so let us know.
Okay.
All right.
Are we almost done? Yes, we are on slide 11 of 14. We're close.
Yeah, Alaster fluff too. Anyway, events tab. We're going to show a slide on this specifically, but we're starting to put in there start and end of sessions when possible. Like, for example, we just figured out the spring end the other day, so you'll see a rough timeline in there. We'll update that. I've just got a screenshot on it as well already.
Yeah,
and another
but
slide,
if you
so I
guys are
think
looking
we
for
can-
that, I'm going to just do a quick little thing. Like, here's your app, right? You could go here for events. You could see all events here. You can go here for events, depending on if this menu's showing or not,
All right,
So,
go ahead and click it.
I'm going to go to events. Boom. Oh, that says to national. That's why. So I'm going to change this to San Diego. And there's all our stuff right there.
And you can see we have the blast, and we have another slide on this, but we can cover it right now since it's up a little bit. The idea is there's stuff in there, and we're going to be adding stuff in the next 2 weeks. So we recommend you check back here frequently. It's got good information. We're trying to populate it earlier and more often.
Yep.
We even have dates for next year's things such as the Team Captain Championship, Jack and Jill. They'll all be up the next couple weeks.
Yes.
Does not mean you can register. We will put the notes in there. Typically, an event, except for Southwest Challenge, it's usually about a month and a half to 2 months prior window, maybe a hair more. So until you see that member services post up, it's just information so you have an idea when. I see a lot of comments and scorekeeper notes. If they're complaints, they're pretty much ignored. We've been pretty stringent on this. You must email us. Sometimes we think you're probably just needing therapy for the night and you need to let loose on a frustrating player, captain, something about the night. So that's fine. But if we find the next day, if it means enough to you, you'll send an email, and it needs to be some details. If you send us the whole team is underrated, I hate to tell you, we're gonna delete it. You've got to give information as to why. not just I think they're a 4, they're too good, or something. And that's literally comments we get. That just doesn't suffice. We need the details, because if we're going to take action, we need to save those details in case at some point that action goes to the headquarters, they come to us, we can say, here's the trail, here's why we did it, whatever. We record all that, keep all that information, put it in the player's file. It's important, but we need the detail to be added to it, please. And this is also not just skill level complaints about a team. It could be minor to time complaints to major to bad sportsmanship. Depending on the complaint, we might take immediate action. There's a whole process in the bylaws for how we handle that, and the Board of Governors is heavily involved. If it gets really extreme, we might just remove someone from the league outside and just let the BOG know. Mark your defensive shots. That's critical. We get complaints and say, oh, such and such is no 2 or no 3 or no 4. We look at the score and it looks like a 4. And there's I would assume if you're making a claim they're purposely missing, but you have 2 defensive shots, that tells me your data doesn't support your own opinion. So keep that in mind. If you don't intentionally try to make a shot, that's a defensive shot. So mark it accordingly, as it does help. This one we've said enough, but I'm going to hit it really quick. I put this here so you understand. The highest chance of success of communicating with us about anything is email, because we can file and structure it. Good success is a text. I say that because we can't file it, and if we're going along the way and we get a bunch of texts, it could get buried a little bit and missed. It's not intentional. It's not as good as email. Unknown is Facebook messaging me or Liza. Liza's email.
Or Lindsay. Lindsay doesn't check her email anymore.
Yeah, Lindsay. And that's other emails. Or even some people still have Brian and Jill's old Cox email.
Oh, yeah.
So,
people still use that one.
And phone numbers that aren't the league phone number. So that one's a complete unknown. It doesn't mean if you Facebook Live it doesn't get done. I'm sure you've seen it or whatever. But it could be delayed or not hit a time frame that's critical. So start with the top 2. Calling is marginal. Now, if you have to call. I know we sound like we don't want the phone calls. We're fine with it. What we're asking for is if you're calling to make a roster change or you're calling to do something that's just clerical, it's so much easier for us if you send an email and then or a text, because now we have a reference. We can go look at the right spelling. We're not typing it wrong. Maybe we're not by the system, yada, yada. If you need a call because your call is about layers, so maybe in there you are making a roster change, but it's about a question you want to ask first, please call. We're totally good with the call. We're just trying to say the other stuff frees up time so we can answer the calls of the people that actually need them. If you miss us, we get this a lot. Someone will call 3-4 times in a day. Leave a voicemail. We will call you back. We always call you back, and ideally leave the purpose of the call. We've had people text us, say, call me, or text, and then I call, and they really need Liza, and she's not here. So, or I'm not by the system because I'm out and about. Those are things why if you give me the information, I'm going to be better prepared, or Liza's going to be better prepared to answer you. I think that covers it.
Okay.
This is what we covered before. Nothing crazy new here. Just saying here's the events coming up, the Blast, the regionals. This is all in the events tab, so you can go and see after. Liza already mentioned Southwest is full. We're hoping to get more slots, and we are adding regularly. So look back in the next 2 weeks, and you'll see events for next year already in the system.
Yeah. Like Scott said, we have the Jack and Jill qualifier that's going to come up. The Captain's Championship qualifier is going to come up. All that stuff in the spring that we do. So that's all going to be put on this calendar. If you guys are planners and need to plan ahead. And
you may not see location because we need to get approval. We know we're going to do the event. We know we're going to do it at this point, but we may still have to get approval from the location. So that's why.
And there's other events and stuff going on outside of APA that you may want to attend, or and we try to work with other tournament directors in the area to try not to conflict with things, but we do have a lot of stuff to run, so it's not going to be it may conflict at some point.
So just so Ben just highlighted, and Ben, I mentioned that the idea is, if you reseed, you're giving the advantage to the higher seed left in the playoffs. This is the BOG slide about 12 plus teams.
Yeah.
If you look at it, there's actually pro sports follow 2 models. Some pro sports don't reseed. Your bracket's your bracket. Some do reseed.
Well, let's go back. Let's do that in the Q&A so we can revisit that in a second, because I just want to get through the rest of this. Okay. Because I was actually going to just reply to him in text, but that's okay.
I just interrupted few other times.
I know, but I know we were like,
Okay.
and people like because people don't know what that is just now, unless you reword the question. Anyway, okay, so I just wanted to I guess go to the next slide about our event coming up that is not yet on the calendar.
Right.
So I'm just gonna, and this is our last slide before questions and answers. So we'll get to that question that Scott just started to talk about in a second. But we are bringing Florian to San Diego. So Venom, the trick shot champion, is going to be coming to San Diego Saturday, October 14th. This is going to be a junior academy, a San Diego APA Junior Academy fundraiser. So we are collecting sponsors. If you guys want to sponsor the event, we will put your business logo, and it doesn't have to be pool related, but we will put your business logo on a banner that will be part of the backdrop of the show and that kind of stuff. And then we're also going to just be selling tickets to, and it'll be $15 to the show for any SDAPA members. If you know somebody who would like to see the show but they aren't a member yet, then we would want them to become members first, APA members first. At this point, for that membership, since we are past August 15th, they would still have to pay that $30 membership, but it will get prorated the following year. So for 2024, they would only have to pay $15 prorated. Anyway, just wanted to mention that. Florian is coming to town.
And we'll post something on member services with those details as well. If you want to sponsor, contact us, because that's something we may or may not put in the member services. I'm not really sure the plan with that, but we'll put in the if you just want to stop by and see the show, the options there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Q&A. And I just, whoops. Okay, Q&A. I'm going to switch over to there. And then I just wanted to, Scott started to talk about Ben's comment about one of the things that we're going to ask you to talk to your BOG about is possibly changing our playoff structure.
Yeah, it's in the slides.
Right, but when you started talking about it,
Right.
people may not have known what you were talking
Right,
about,
I
and
know.
it's just about reseeding the playoffs when we have two brackets in a 12 or more team division.
Yeah, so today, if you look in the bylaws, playoff bracket 1 is 2, 4, 6. I remember because even and odd, and wild card 1, and then 3, 5, 7, and wild card 2, and they stay as separate brackets. So within those brackets, the higher seed keeps home field advantage. The suggestion that was brought to the BOG is that, so for example, if the wild card over here in the 2, 4, 6 wins and the 6 seed wins to place in the finals, instead of the 6 and the wild card playing each other in this bracket, and over here the 3rd and 5th team would play each other, let's say, or I guess a better would be a 5th and wild card over here. Technically the 5th seed is the highest, so they should get home field advantage against the lowest, and you kind of reseed like you start your playoffs, where you seed your playoffs by highest seed gets wild card and home field advantage. The 2nd seeded team gets the next matchup and home field advantage. Today, as it is, that brackets are separate and you don't cross seed the higher seeds based on how the first round goes. The request is to look into reseeding it. I believe the NFL does that, and I don't think baseball does it, but I could be wrong. It could be basketball. Anyway, we can do either. For us, it really doesn't matter as long as we know, as long as we have a process we're going to stick to. The downside to that is that, in the case where you did win over here and now you no longer have home field advantage because of reseed, and you're that team that wanted the reseed, now you might be like, oh, I wish I didn't root for that. So there's just always going to be two sides to the view. We look at this, and how I think Brian and Jill set it up is always two different brackets, and that's how it's always been preceded. But again, we can certainly reconsider a reseed after the first round.
Yeah, and it's hard to see the visual here, and that's why I'm just bringing up our bylaws that just show, what our playoff structure is based on the number of teams in a division. So right now we're talking about these guys here, this 12 or more team division where we have two brackets and we have two playoff winners. And this is how we do it. That's your placing and all.
And
that
this is,
stuff.
I don't know when Brian and Joe put this in place, but we just took this and kept going with it, so we haven't changed it. So what's important about this conversation, and including the tiebreaker one, is we really want you talking to your BOG, because someone in the league felt it worth the time to talk to the BOG, which is what we encourage. Now what we want is the players in the league to give feedback to the BOG. And what I mentioned earlier is ideally you've either been in a 12-team division and been part of this structure, or you're in one. Not that if you're not, you can't comment, but if you haven't done it, it's a little bit less weighted from my view to actually experience it and see the pros and cons. But feed your BOG so when we do discuss it again around the new year, because that's when we'd have to start rewriting bylaw changes for the APA that would take over in summer. We need that feedback. So the tiebreaker and this topic is up. If you have other topics, take it to your BOG so we can discuss it December and start getting it on the radar.
Okay.
Any chance the Saturday divisions, that's doubles and masters, and we have two kinds of masters divisions, and we have 8-ball and 9-ball doubles, just for anybody to be aware. They're still on paper. For those of you who've been on Scorekeeper Wire, paper's that thing where just kidding.
Scorekeeper.
We hope so, but I would tell you it's not high. The APA's priority list is to get the nation on Scorekeeper for weekly play.
That's coming soon.
Right, and right as it is today, there are a lot of league areas that do not get to use electronic scoring, which is Scorekeeper. The second part of that is they want to be able to use it at like blasts,
so it
cities,
is going to
and
be
Vegas.
Tournaments.
Yes, that's huge on their list. Those two big hurdles are ahead of getting the alternate divisions.
So you guys can't. So right now for Blast, you guys can't forget how to score on paper, because we're still doing that. But that is going to be
Not for
their,
Blast. Oh, Blast. Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah. For Blast
Yeah,
and
sorry.
cities, we still got to use paper scoring. So, but that is going to be their next priority before these Saturday alternate divisions get on Scorekeeper.
Right. So they know, and they got people in their ear, because we have decent sized divisions. There's a lot of big divisions out there with Saturday, but it's prioritization. We'll try to find up in this next meeting we have with them in October. Do they have an idea of when it would even be considered? So they're aware, but their priority is what we mentioned: stability, launching nationwide or worldwide actually, and handling it at the higher level tournaments. That's the goal. All right. Any other questions? And sorry if we missed
questions?
something. I'm gonna try to go back and see.
Let's see. Seating. Playoff fees, I think. Did we cover everybody?
I know there's a delay, so we always
Yeah.
give it another minute or so, but it looks like people
And,
are.
you guys can, obviously go back and, we have this, this stream, so that you can rewind and look back and be like, oh, what'd they say? But also it's going to be saved as a recording, and we will also post it to our YouTube channel so that people can look at it later. And then you can email us with questions, or you can comment on here, and we'll try to answer your questions. We got one that has come up. Who is this? Glenn.
Oh, the board shouldn't be out.
But I do not see my name on either of the white tier boards.
Is that the previous boards?
So you might be looking at last year's boards, Glenn. I'm going to switch over to what you might be talking about to confuse people even more. But what Glenn might be looking at here is what, and you guys that are singles qualified, or if you just want to know about, learn about the singles program if you've never participated, this tells you about the program. It also has a link to the national program. But right here, so this is old, Glenn. See, this is for spring. So these boards, I will remove them, but this is from last event in March. So don't look at those yet. The boards are not, and we're not gonna have those boards probably until maybe 2 weeks before the event. So so mid-September is when the boards will come out for the fall regional. So the only thing you can see right now for the fall regional is this qualified list here.
Yeah, so check that pointer out to make
So
sure you're there.
ignore this stuff here.
Yeah, and I just fixed. Somebody pointed out to me or asked a
let's
question
see.
about their team not showing up on the blast, so we disabled those rosters. If you look at cities, always try to check the dates, but sometimes that isn't clear. So please let us know and we'll
Let's
fix it.
see if we can find Glenn.
So it's a good question. It
There
points
you
out
are,
the data
Glenn.
maybe.
So you are definitely on here for 9 ball. Let's look for you. I don't see you for 8 ball though. So that might be something where you qualified
said 9
after.
ball.
Oh, 9 ball. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. You're on here, Glenn. So so you'll be on the boards when they're posted.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, you must be on a team in the format for the singles program. So if you're on a 9 ball board, you must be on a 9 ball team. That does not count for doubles. Masters does not count. You must be on a weekly standard team in the format
I think doubles does count because scores come in.
for that counts as a team.
Yes, because there's scores come in.
Okay, I could be wrong. I thought I just read that that's not
It's
true.
not Masters doesn't count, but yep.
Okay. All right. I stand corrected. I thought I just read something that it stated that you have to be on a standard format.
That's
But
for
Liza's better at
Southwest
this
Challenge.
topic. Okay, that may be
For
my
Southwest
confusion.
Challenge, you
Southwest
have
Challenge
to-
has different.
Be on a standard like weekly 8 ball, 9 ball team for Southwest Challenge.
But so let's repeat that to be clear. You need to be on a team
Yep.
in the format, and the options are
For wait. For
say
what?
9 ball.
Oh,
Let's say
for singles.
Yes.
For singles. Okay. And what I'm going to do though, just so that you guys can find this information, I'm going to go to Pool Players. This is the APA's national site. I'm going to go to Pool Player Championships and 8 Ball Classic. For example, this will give you the eligibility requirements here. I thought it did.
Well, there's tournament rules up there. I don't know if that would be the link.
Where? Oh yeah. Tournament rules. Practice time. Scorekeeping.
This could just be for maybe not.
That's funny. Anyway, we can revisit this. This should be easier to find. Oh, here we go. 10 scores.
Bear with us.
Yeah, it might not say that on here, so I will verify, but I am pretty sure that a 9 ball doubles team, if you're just on a 9 ball doubles team, that does count because the scores are getting accumulated in 9 ball singles. That's why it counts.
Yeah, and what we can simply do is we'll confirm it with a member services post because I know this has come up with a few people about singles eligibility, and so we can simply create something that spells out But what we can tell you for sure, if you're on a 9 ball board and you're on a 9 ball team, you're good. If you're on a 9 ball board and you're on an 8 ball team, you're not good. That's for sure. Whether the question we have to answer is that have to be a weekly or the ladies weekly or doubles, sorry. That's the question we'll get clarified in post. So look for a member services post this week on it. And we'll
How
get it
to
clarified.
keep your eligibility if your singles qualified.
Yeah. Okay, ask another round. Anybody have a question? We're pausing again with a 7-second delay. So
Switch back over to
call, 30-second final call.
Switching over to our.
Otherwise, you guys have a great weekend, and let's get going in the fall session coming out of the Labor Day weekend. So have fun, be safe. I'm hoping we get a little rain just to take away some of the dryness. Any questions, feel free to reach out. Please check your rosters. We'll help make changes that you can't make or don't want to make.
I'm going to make us big before we sign off.
Okay.
There we are.
All right, everybody. We're out. Reach out if you need anything. Bye.
See you guys. Happy Labor Day. One moment. I should be off. Still here. And okay, now we're leaving for